This segment of Delmarva Life is brought to you by Deaf Independent Living Association.
Well, there's a saying, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. It's true, but getting the job of your dreams is not always within reach for everyone, especially if you live with a disability. Well, one local group is trying to change that. Joining me now to tell us more is Mike Perky, the Executive Director of DILA, or Deaf Independent Living Association. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Okay, so we're talking about an employment program for people with disabilities, but it's not a new program.
No. It's been around for many, many, many years. I've been doing it for many years. Yeah, it's assisting folks with disabilities in finding a job. And back in the day, it was called job placement. That's still the official term within the state. But we're trying to put a different spin on it, which is something I've always tried to do, which is more of a job matching, trying to find what the interest of the individual is, matching it with a current opening in the community.
Okay, so is it challenging? But first of all, going back to job placement, is that a challenge for these groups?
It's a challenge in the fact that you have a lot of preconceived notions in the community about people with disabilities and what they can't do. And what our group tries to do is we don't talk about the disability at any point in time. I'm not marketing to a business, oh, I've got someone with a disability. They know it because we're who we are. But we don't lead in with that. It's back in the old days, it was a sympathy thing. It was, oh, could you please hire? Now it's, I've got an employee. And that's how we market it. So we take that, we match their skills and abilities with the current opening, and then that's how we market it to the employer.
So you actually do an interview to find out what kind of placement would be right for them?
We do. We spend the first 8 hours of a case assignment after we do the initial intake, if you will, and we find out what the vocational goal is. Then we spend 8 hours, which is how the state set it up now, to build the resume, go through interviewing skills, and just try to figure out exactly what that job goal is going to be. And then we do a series of mock interviews, and then we end it with a real interview in the community, which is not necessarily to actually get the job, it's to get real feedback from an HR person that says, okay, here's something you could work on, here's some better answers, you know, you need to do more exploration into the company before you go talk to them and things like that. And then they're ready to go into the job exploration phases.
Okay, so give us an example of how you recently matched someone to a job.
It was our actually first case since we reopened, and it was absolutely amazing. And what happens a lot of time, especially with younger people with disabilities, is there's not a lot of expectation. So when they go in for their initial meeting with the voc rehab counselor, it's oftentimes, well, whatever. I want to do whatever. So this young lady had had a couple of jobs. They hadn't been successful. So when we met with her, she said, I want to work in a nursing home. I want to work in a kitchen. And so I'm looking at her resume. I don't see any skills related to that. And so we kind of explored, well, why? Have you ever done that? Have you ever been in that setting? No, no experience. So I'm once again referring back to her resume, and I said, what do you really love to do? Well, I like to work with horses. Well, my employment specialist who was with me, and it was his very first intake, says, well, my mom's the head of the dressage council in Wicomico County, and I grew up in barns. And the young lady just lit up. And she had 7 years experience taking care of animals. So we changed her vocational goal right then, which is just a keystroke, thank goodness. And we started into it, and the hardest part was she's painfully shy. She wasn't real comfortable with the whole interview process, so we actually got his mom to interview her at the barn.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And so she was a little more comfortable. She kind of knew her and everything, and then we went about trying to, you know, to find her a job, and the very first job she applied for, she got, and she's now working full-time as an animal care specialist, taking care of horses.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
so
and is thrilled.
She didn't have to settle.
No, she
No
didn't
settling.
settle. She found something. We pitched her skills. We pitched her abilities. Someone who had the background, had the experience, and had just the passion to work with these animals.
Now, you're the Deaf Independent Living Association, and we're talking about disabilities. We're talking about All
Yes.
disabilities?
Yeah, our specialty is deafness. Obviously, we work with people who are deaf, but when we recreated this program again, the realization was there weren't enough deaf people on the shore who needed employment services to sustain the program. So we opened it up to all disabilities.
And this is a win for the employer as well,
It is
I
a win for
imagine.
the employer. There are some tax credits available to employers. They change constantly, so in the current political climate, I don't know what they're going to look like. But the win is you get a good employee and you get our services for free. There's no cost to it. We provide job coaching after the placement if they want it, if the employer wants it and the employee wants it. A lot of folks do not, because it's almost like the red flag of I'm disabled, and they want to blend. So we'll do job coaching after work. How did it go? What are you running into? Are there any challenges that we can help you with? And then we continue following this person for at least 90 days, and after that if they need our help.
Sounds like a great program, Mike.
It
Thank
is.
you
It's
so
exciting.
much
Thank
for coming
you.
in and talking about it, and thank you for doing this. And of course, Mike Perky with Deaf Independent Living Association. If you would like to read more about this organization, go to our website, delmarvalife.com.